Hey guys, it's Tori and I'm back with a new vlog. I know that it's been a few weeks. I'm so sorry guys. This whole virus quarantining thing has just totally thrown everything out of whack right now. But I want you to know that I'm still here. I'm still making videos and there's going to be a whole lot more coming very soon. How are you guys? Are you doing okay? I know all of this quarantining is like totally crazy. So let me know in the comments. I'm praying for all of you. And all right, today I wanted to talk to you guys a little bit about, drumroll, songwriting. This has been one of my most I'm blanking on this word, guys. It's my most requested, that's the word. One of my most requested videos. So I'm really excited to show you about songwriting. Mic drop. Okay, so this giant notebook is actually one of my first songwriting notebooks. It's very big, very purple. It's not the very first. The very first, I think, is in storage somewhere. So this is, I still have some pages in it, believe it or not. A lot of people are switching to writing either Google Docs or notes these days on their phones or their computers or iPads or whatever. But I'm a little bit old school. I still like to write with paper and pens. And even if you flick through it real fast, like you can see there's lots of like different colors. Some pencil, but some like purple, pink, purple. There's red in here somewhere, blue. So anyway, I just find that fun, and I have actually started writing on my phone some, but we're using the phone for recording today. So, all right, so songwriting. Well, songwriting is an art form. It really is. Like, and I say that not saying like it's so hard. I'm just saying like there are rules to it, but it's also your interpretation. So at the end of the day, like I can tell you the basics of how a song is written, but at the end of the day, it needs to be your expression, and your expression may include those rules and it may not. And that's one of the things I really like about songwriting, because there are rules to follow, but you don't have to if you just strongly feel the song needs to go another way. So let's start with the basics, shall we? All right, song structure. Okay, so typically, if you are going by, these are all the different sections of a song, and some of you probably know this already, but there is an intro, which is typically a piece of music that is, well, we'll get to that. It can be longer, it can be shorter. It really depends on your preference. Intros used to be longer, but as time has gone on, they've gotten shorter and shorter and shorter and shorter to the point where in some songs it's almost non-existent. But intro, verse 1, pre-chorus, chorus, verse 2, pre-chorus, chorus, bridge, and chorus. This is a very basic song structure. So, the intro, like I said, that is typically just music. So I'm going to write that down. Music. Verse 1 sets up your song. It sets up the story. It sets up what you're going to tell. So this is your starting point lyrically. You don't want to just jar someone immediately with something really intense. This is, you ease people into the song, or if you are telling a story, you start the story, you set it up. Pre-chorus. Now, not every song has a pre-chorus. Pre-chorus is typically, not always, but typically, something short, maybe 1 or 2 lines at the most, that just kind of transitions the verse to the chorus. Usually that transition happens both lyrically and melodically. So not only will it kind of lead from the concepts of the verse into the concepts of the chorus and bring that correlation, but it will also, typically your choruses, they have a higher or a bigger melody, and so the verses are softer typically, and so that pre-chorus kind of helps to transition from that softness into the bigness of the chorus. But sometimes the verse just naturally does that and you don't need a pre-chorus. So that's optional, but I'm going to write transition. I don't know if these are backwards, but you guys maybe, like, if you're interested in writing a song, maybe copy it down. Chorus. So the chorus is going to be the main point, the main theme of your song. What is the thing you want to drive home with people with this song? What is the one thing you really want to say? That is the chorus. You don't want the chorus to be too wordy. You don't want the chorus to be too long. And at the end of the chorus, typically, not always, but at the end of the chorus is when you have your hook. And your hook is most likely going to be the title of your song, and it's going to be the thing that sticks in your head. In pop music, for example, typically the hook of a song is something that is repeated a lot. So as a kind of obvious example that comes to mind, Baby by Justin Bieber. Now, it would be really, really weird to call that song When I Was 13, because everyone's just gonna call it Baby, right? Because maybe it is about when he was 13, but he says baby like 4 million times, so everyone's gonna call it Baby. So that is an example of why, even if you want to call your song something kind of obscure from the lyrics, people are just gonna call it Baby. But Baby is the hook of that song. So hopefully that makes sense. I'm gonna write point and hook because it's the point of the song and it contains the hook. Verse 2. Verse 2 continues your story. It brings you a little bit deeper into the concepts of the song. If you're telling a story, it kind of moves to the next chapter, the next phase of the story. And yeah, so it's really just like continuing but staying with the theme. It brings the song to the next natural place lyrically. It has the same melody as the first verse, but obviously different words. So I'm just gonna write continuation. All right, then if you have a pre-chorus the first time, this would be where you would repeat it again. Now, most of the time, well, kind of like half the time, if you have a pre-chorus, you'll always do another pre-chorus after the second verse, but half the time it's exactly the same as the first one, and the other half of the time it's exactly the same melodically, but you change like one word to kind of also go with what you started to talk about in the second verse. So you're writing like a breakup song, okay? And in the first verse, you're talking about the shock of the breakup. Then the pre-chorus would say something like, I'm missing you so dearly. And then the chorus is talking about how, but it was a good thing that you broke up. Second verse talks about where you are now. And then second pre-chorus would say something like, but now I see so clearly. See, it's very similar, but it's slightly different in the fact that it continues the story along, but it doesn't change so much that it's jarring. And if people weren't paying close attention to the lyrics, they would probably think it was the same thing. So pre-chorus, if you have one, it'd be something like that. Chorus, after that, same as the first one. The chorus is always the same. And sometimes you make little adjustments here or there to like the melody of the second one. The second time you sing it, there's a part where this one part at the end goes up a little bit to just, I don't know, make it seem bigger. But the chorus stays the same. And then every once in a while at the very end of the song, the chorus will have an addition to it that, I don't know. But like, for the most part, the chorus stays the same. I say this because I've seen people completely change the chorus, and it confuses me. But I will tell you one saying that was taught to me when I was learning how to write songs, and that is, don't bore us, get to the chorus. So as a songwriter, at first this kind of hurt my heart because I was like, but what about the story? The story is important. I don't want to just rush to the main point. I want to unfold this beautiful story. Well, that's good, but also you need to keep people engaged. You need to keep people listening, or they won't listen to the story at all. And a lot of people say, don't bore us, get to the chorus. So don't make it too drawn out in the beginning. Get to the chorus where you can hook them in and keep them for the rest of the song. So that is chorus the second time. Then, if you want, also optional, you can have a bridge. The bridge kind of can be really anything you want. The bridge, it's just an added piece to the song. So sometimes your song wants it, sometimes your song doesn't. Sometimes it's like an anthem. It's like you've told your story and now you're like sticking to it, and this is the final like big moment, you know, or the big revelation of the song, or you know what I'm saying? So like, for example, our made up breakup song. Like I said, first verse is saying like the shock of the breakup. Then the pre-chorus is like, I miss you dearly. The chorus is like, but it was the right thing. Second verse goes, but like, I'm better off kind of deal. Second pre-chorus is saying, and now I see so clearly that, back to the chorus, it wasn't like meant to be, you know, it was a good thing that it happened. Then the bridge would be like, I never should have let myself be treated poorly, or it's kind of like this hindsight portion of the song. At least that's what I like to think of it as. Some people may tell you otherwise. And bridges are optional. So if you want to keep it nice and short, you can just go back to the chorus and end it there. But if you don't want to, bridge, and then it'll come back to the chorus or end on the bridge. Like I said, music is an art form, and you can break all the rules if you want. But you can come back to the chorus. You can come back to a down chorus, which is what we call a chorus that is a lot quieter, more subdued. Say like if your song had a full band playing, when it gets to the down chorus, everything would drop out except piano, or everything would drop out except for guitar and your voice, and you're singing softly, and then that slowly builds into the big chorus at the end. Or you can end really softly, which is also very nice. So I am going to show you that it's not that hard to write a song. Yes, it is an art form, and yes, you need to practice, but it's not as scary as you think. So, you're sitting in your room, quarantined, and you're like, man, what am I going to do? There's like nothing to do, I'm bored. I'm going to write a song. But what do I write about? Where do I start? I've never done this before, or maybe you have done this before and you still don't know where to start because there's nothing like big happening. There's no drama. What do I just write a song about? Like, here's where you start. There's nothing in my mind to put on paper. Now, I actually do this a lot. I'm kind of guilty of it, where I'll be like, I don't know what to write about. And that's my first line of the song. And then but here's how you progress and you don't stay there. You go, well, why do I not know what to write? Is it because I have a lot of emotion about something? Is it because I feel emotionless? Talk about that. So, like, if you're emotionless, like, you can say, there's nothing in my mind to put on paper. Nothing inside but a vapor, you know? I'm not going to write that because that sounds really dark. And I ain't about that. But, so ask yourself why. Ask yourself why you can't think of anything. There's nothing in my mind to put on paper. Trapped inside. I didn't talk about rhyming. Okay, that's actually like pretty important. Another one of the rules of songwriting is just that you should rhyme. And there isn't a specific way to rhyme. I would recommend not rhyming every single line. That gets a lot. It's a bit much. But you are totally free and welcome to write any kind of rhyming structure you want to write. But just don't go crazy, okay? It's like A, B, A, B, or A, B, A, C, or A, B, C, B. And if you're still lost, the numbers that match up, those are the ones that rhyme. So typically a verse will be about 4 lines, but sometimes you can have a double verse, so like 8 lines. I've done songs before that are 3 lines in a verse, and it kind of threw some people, but I enjoyed it, so it's my song. Sometimes they'll make the first verse extra long and the second verse half is long, or it could be backwards. You could do half a verse for the first one and then a double verse for the second one. So, but typically song goes verse, chorus, and the rest of it is kind of optional, you know. Anyway, rhyming. Okay. There's nothing in my mind to put on paper. What did I say before? I interrupted myself. There's nothing in my mind to put on paper. Trapped inside. Because we are all trapped inside right now, let's be honest. Like, literally, we are trapped inside. Ooh, that could be cool. What if we said trapped inside my own behavior? Ooh, nah, I'm not going to say that. But it's interesting, though. So I kind of like play with the words, and while that would be cool, it's not really what I'm going for, so I'm going to stay away from that one. There's nothing in my mind to put on paper. Trapped inside. There's nothing in my mind to put on paper. Trapped inside the fear and lies. There's a lot of fear going on right now. So, trapped inside the fear and lies. Worried that I'll waver. I like that. I like it when I can do an alliteration. If you don't know what that means, it just means 2 words in a row that start with the same letter, and it kind of has a cool effect. So worried that I'll waver. They're not right next to each other, but it's close enough to be an alliteration, I think. Now, some of you are probably confused right now, like, where's the melody? We're just writing words. Well, this is what I do when I'm stuck. I actually write words and melody most of the time. Most of the time I kind of do it all at the same time, but for the purposes of showing you what songwriting is like, I thought it'd be easier to show you structure and rhyming by starting out with the words and starting out with just where you are. And if you don't know what to write about, just write about where you are and be really honest, and you will get a good song. There's nothing in my mind to put on paper. Trapped inside the fear and lies, worried that I'll waver. So, that's about, well, that's like 2 lines. Ish. It could be 2, could be 4, kind of. Where do we want to take the song from here? So obviously we're talking about the virus, but not in a funny way. We're talking about in the everyone's afraid, everyone's stuck inside. But God is going to do something really great with all of this. He's going to do, I believe he's bringing families together. I believe he's bringing community together, believe it or not, even though we're spread apart. I believe that like God is bringing us together online, which is so interesting because I didn't know that that would happen. There's nothing in my mind to put on paper. Trapped inside the fear and lies, worried that I'll waver. These troubles. Let's get the guitar, shall we? Because that will help me. And I'll probably play around with a couple keys and a couple notes and nothing in my mind, put on paper. Trapped inside the fear and lies, worried that I'll waver. But God knew, God saw. But God knew, God saw this before I could. I like that. But God knew, God saw this before I could. Yeah, I like that. I'm gonna write that down. Okay. There's nothing in my mind to put on paper. Trapped inside fear and lies, worried that I'll waver. God knew, God saw this before I could. Trapped inside the fear and lies, worried that I'll waver. But God knew, God saw this before I could. Let's see, where do we want to take the story? We kind of want to, since it's staying in the first verse, we don't want to progress it too far. So we want to kind of keep it in that first headspace. There's nothing in my mind to put on paper. Trapped inside the fear and lies, worried that I'll waver. God knew, God saw this before I could. Where will I end up when it's over? No. There's nothing in my mind to put on paper. Trapped inside the fear and lies, worried that I'll waver. But God knew, God saw this before I could. Trying hard to trying hard to keep in mind, trying hard to listen to my Father. There's nothing in my mind to put on paper. Trapped inside the fear and lies, worried that I'll waver. But God knew, God saw this before I could. Trying hard to listen to my Father. Ooh, I like that. Trying hard to listen to my Father. Because it's in that whole like blocking out all the fear and the lies. So you're trying hard to listen to your Father. So, as you can see, my current rhyme thing is like A, B, because I'm doing 3 lines. There's nothing in my mind to put on paper. Trapped inside the fear and lies, worried that I'll waver. Oh, another thing you should know about the rules of songwriting is that some people count syllables. And so they will actually have a structure like how you have a structure for rhyming. They will also have a structure for the amount of syllables per line. So they're like, I'm going to have 8 syllables on this line, 13 syllables on the next, back to 8, and then 13 again. And that kind of gives it more structure. that is one of the rules that I don't particularly follow very strictly. I don't want it to be like very noticeably off from each other, but I don't count the syllables. So there's nothing in my mind to put on paper. That's 11 syllables. Trapped inside the fear and lies, worried that I'll waver. Right, trapped inside the fear and lies, worried that I'll waver. So that was like 13. So like 11 versus 13 syllables. It's close, but it's not quite there. There's like a couple extra syllables. Some songwriters get very bothered by this and they have to have it exactly the same. I'm a little bit looser with it, like I said. But just keep it in mind. If you're writing songs with other people, they might get mad at you about syllables. The helpful thing about rhyming is it's actually pretty easy these days, because if you're having a tough time finding a word that rhymes with the one that you're trying to rhyme, you can actually do a quick Google search, and it's pretty easy to just find a list of words that rhyme with that word. So that's really helpful. Also, if you still don't find a word that works in your song that rhymes with it, maybe reconsider the word that you're initially trying to find a rhyme for and maybe change that one a bit. And that way, that can kind of help you out sometimes. Okay. Trying hard to listen to my father. Okay. My pen, it like dropped and spun, and I was like, oh no, it's gonna mark up the floor, but it didn't, so that's good. Trying hard to listen to my father. It gives me peace when all the world is bothered. Hey, I like that. It's not maybe like the best line I could come up with, but it works for now, so we're gonna use it, and if I think of something better later, I'll throw it in. It's okay. It works for now. There's nothing in my mind to put on paper. Trying hard to listen to my father. 10. So it's like really, really, really close. And then trapped inside the fear and lies, worried that I'll waver. Again, that's 13. He gives me peace when all the world is bothered. It's like 11. So, again, really close. Trying hard to listen to my father. He gives me peace when all the world is bothered. Oh, 'cause God knows, God sees this before me. No. Sometimes you just sing something out and immediately you know it's not the right thing. But God knows, God sees this before I could. But God knows. So changing it from past to present, instead of but God knew, God saw, to but God knows. Oh, every possibility. I like that better because that doesn't mess up the language so much. Because if you go, but God knows, God sees this before I could, it like switches back to past tense, and that's really odd. So, oh, another songwriting tip. Try as hard as you can not to flip between who is the person speaking in the song and who you're speaking to, because that will confuse your audience. So, like, obviously in this song, I'm writing it in first person, which means it's coming from me. So there's nothing in my mind. Trying to listen to my Father. He gives me peace. So all of that is language like I'm talking about myself, rather than there's this girl by the lake and she's swinging on the swings. Something like that, where it's like, it's just like talking about, and she walked to her house and pet her dog. I don't know. I'm just saying random things. But like, that obviously is not me talking about me. I'm talking about somebody else. So try not to flip between those two in a song. Try not to like flip between who you're talking about in a song too much, or talking to, because like so what would be confusing in this song, right? So right now I'm talking about like, but God knew, God saw this before I could, but God knows, God sees every possibility, which I'm going to write down before I forget. Every possibility. It would be weird if I all of a sudden just started talking straight to God, right? Because I have mentioned God by name. I didn't say, but you knew, you saw. That would be me talking to God. This is me talking about God. So that's another thing to keep in mind. I'm not going to finish this song today because we're running out of time. But if you liked this and you want a part 2, then I'll finish it with you guys. Or if you prefer, put in the comments down below. I will live stream with you guys and you can help me finish it. How about that? Just let me know if you like this video. Make sure to hit that thumbs up and that subscribe. Hit the bell for turning on notifications, and that way you know as soon as I've posted a video, posted an update. I love you guys, and I will be back soon with another video. Bye!